Welcome, Rocky. How you doing, bro?
Oh, I'm doing well tonight. Thanks again. I've just been fascinated listening to you guys. So yeah, I just kind of muted up and just been listening. So, well, tonight I thought, we might diverge a bit from energy medicine, um, in lieu of the fact that we're probably going to do our segment, strictly on that. So I thought we would get into more of the metaphysical side of things. Another topic that's near and dear to my heart, is astral projection. You have any knowledge on that, Vincent, or hear much about that in the past at all, maybe?
Yeah, actually, when I was 15 years old, I astro projected and was told by a bruja how to, and but I never did it again after that.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's the energy medicine, the body's energy system, astral projection. They all are connected. They're all tied in together. You could argue, well, of course, everything's connected, and that's not what I mean. The ability to leave your body willingly, and I'm not going to go so far as to say it's the soul leaving or anything like that. I won't get into, maybe if somebody's interested in my opinion on the subject of what I think, but, regardless of the fact, I myself, have been an avid astro projector over the years. I actually got interested in it along the same lines. A few shows back, I told the story about how I got into energy medicine, in the early 90s. Someone actually taught me how to see the aura using a very similar technique that I taught on the show last week. And so this whole world of possibilities opened up to me, and astral projection just happened to be one of those, that I found to be particularly fascinating and did quite a bit of, experimentation with. Um, Very interesting, subject matter. You can find lots of books on it. You can find lots of controversial evidence. Is it real? Is it not? Are people hallucinating? What's really going on? Remote viewing is another one that is, related to astral projection. The idea that you can view a place far away from where you're at, or even in the other room without actually physically going to that room. Um, some of the classic studies that you see on that come from the actual U.S. military, Russian military sources. I think it's Project Stargate, if I want to say. That's the US
Project
government.
Stargate with Joseph McMoneagle.
That's right. Yeah, I was going to actually reference his book, which is Remote Viewing Secrets.
I
Yeah.
have that book, and I have the other one, Time Travel.
How
I read
do you?
about the Army experiments. Yes, I'm following you. I'm familiar with some of the things you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, that's right, Justin. The movie Men Who Stare at Goats actually was sort of a satirical picture of astral projection or remote viewing in that movie's case. If you remember that when it had George Clooney, it came out not that long ago. It's a really good movie, actually, quite hilarious. But it's one of those uh, sort of double speak movies, if you will, if you catch my meaning. It's sort of one of those where you put it out there and then it's easy to discredit or discount remote viewing or astral projection later because you say something like, oh yeah, I remember that in that silly movie and that was just all, that was a joke, right? Or something like this. I assure you that the U.S. government, Russian government, and probably many others around the world do not think it's very funny. They definitely, have acknowledged psychic spies. Supposedly in the mid 90s, the U.S. government anyway, has kind of dismantled their, psychic spy, remote viewing projects, supposedly. Who's to say? It was turned over to the CIA. So,
Yeah. We don't know what they did with
years,
it.
yeah, in 50 years, we'll be able to find out the truth once it's declassified, maybe, but, if we're alive then. But,
Yeah.
I was going to talk a little bit about some of the methods and books that I particularly like that sort of take a lot of the mysticism out of it, which is my thing when it comes to any of this. I like to try to stay as scientific as possible, and sometimes that's hard to do in something like this that would be considered a pseudoscience. Um, but there are lots of good books out there. We had mentioned the Remote Viewing Secrets, where he actually teaches you how to and gives you techniques on how to practice remote viewing if you'd like. Um, The astrodynamics books by Robert Bruce are very good sources on how to actually achieve astral projection yourself. And I said at the beginning of energy medicine talks, and I'll say at the beginning now of the astral projection talks, I'm not here to try to prove anything to you. I have done, going on at least 20 years of research and personal experimentation with this. It's not something that I can't just give it to you. I wish I could. I say it all the time that I wish I could just touch somebody and they could see everything I've seen, have all the knowledge I've had, and then it would be very easy for them. They could, go out and find even more research and do their own astral projection studies. But, unfortunately, you got to go through it for yourself. How that's related to energy medicine and the energy body, is quite simple. The, energy body has to be fully activated. So the, steps required to astral project. The first one is to get into a trance-like state, which essentially all that is. You see these ideas of trance and all these other things. They go, they've been talked a lot about by the theosophical societies and things like that. So they've gotten a really bad association with certain groups of people, a lot of the quote unquote new agers, these sorts of things. So, you really step on toes of people who are, let's say, religious, especially Western religion. But I assure you there are plenty of places in the Bible where they actually refer to the spirit leaving the body, going to the spirit realm, so on and so forth. So, Christians don't hate me. This is something that's very prevalent even in the Bible. But so the trance-like state, let's go back to that.
Problem.
Vincent, you mind if I make a quick warning? I wanted to make it last week and I forgot, and I wanted to say it this week while you get Jose on. Would that be all right?
Yeah, go ahead. Maybe he's having technical difficulties, and we'll just continue ourselves if we can't get him in. So please carry on.
Yeah, well, last week someone had mentioned hallucinogens, and yes, I've read the Castaneda books and McKenna books and Leary books. I mean, when you get into something like this, you want to get all the information you can from everywhere. I don't care what they're doing to try to induce the experience or anything like that. That doesn't bother me. But I do want to warn anyone against the use of hallucinogens for that very effect. I often use the analogy, it's like running down the hallway when you're a little kid and the teacher makes you go back to the beginning of the hallway and then you have to walk back. Not only is it time consuming, but it's very grueling to walk back down the hallway, quote unquote, the right way. It can be very frustrating, very slow going once you've had this amazing mystical experience to maybe have hundreds of times attempting it later on where it doesn't work. So that can be an issue. And then just simply the negative effects on the energy body. I mentioned that it's important to have a whole, healthy energy body. So you can create this inner energy to create the double that would be the projection. You can artificially do that with hallucinogens, but it can be very detrimental to the energy body. So I would, word of caution, if you're going to do that, you definitely want to be careful and do your research and be smart about it. I would recommend the slow way, if I were going to, certainly.
Some people need help quickly and desperately. I remember reading that Bill, who started AA, he and his partner, I think, took LSD, and he credits that with pretty much curing his alcoholism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Stanislav Grof does LSD psychotherapy, and some of his books are very interesting where he's very effective with alcoholism, schizophrenia, actually, strangely enough. Those are fun reads and interesting research, surely. And I always say, to each their own. If you feel like that's something you want to do, I think that's something you should do because that's what you want to do. Far be it from me too. But I didn't feel like I'd be doing my job if I didn't at least give the word warning.
Heck yes. No, it's therapeutic like anything else. It can be misused and has to be done correctly, of course. I don't know what Bill did, but he managed to somehow pull it, his story is a very interesting story. If you ever want to read about somebody very interesting, it's the guy that started AA. It's not all what you think. It's not what I was going to, what I thought it was going to be by far. But yeah, it can be misused.
Sure. Did we get Jose, Vincent?
I think
maybe.
I'm here.
Hey! Good evening, Jose.
Hey.
Hello.
Oh, you just like carried on without me, huh? I get it. I see how things are now. I was on the wrong Skype channel and waiting for someone to invite me, and Vincent said, "¿Qué onda?" which means what's up? What's going on? So then I shifted to another. Why do I have so many Vincent Easleys on my Skype? Anybody know what's going on there? As if I need any more excuses to have technical difficulties, right? I have my headphones now kind of prompted up with a highlighter against the computer so that the wire makes a connection. Because I'm telling you, I'm having a really bad life, this life here. But I keep looking at the bright side. I hate to break into this conversation because I like where you guys are going with it.
Well,
where were we going?
You ramble and roll how you want to, man, and we're here with you.
I think where y'all were going was all over the place, right?
Yeah, well, sensory deprivation. I think. I mean, we were more or less closing ourselves in and imagining that. At least I was, anyhow. I was imagining it.
I was thinking about shrooms.
Oh, jeez.
In
that
psychology,
never entered into it.
We call it altered states of consciousness.
Yes.
I do want to touch on one thing that was brought up earlier in this hour, where out of body experiences. And Vincent, I turned off the internet just as you were talking about maybe you having an out of body experience as a youth. I don't know if I stopped hearing it because I turned it off, but I don't know if you were leading to a joke or an actual anecdotal report. But when my son Cyrano, I think was around 14 years old, he started getting into this, reading books and experimenting with it. And I sat him down and I said, "Look, mijo, if you go swimming and you drown, I will jump in there and save you. But if you try this stuff out and something happens to you, how am I going to save you from it?" So he stopped doing it. But now that he's in prison, he went back to doing it, and he's like, "Hey, you know, who can keep me in prison when I can leave every night?"
Escape. You know, actually, I was 15 years old when I did it, and I had just been arrested for, I got in trouble as a youth, and it was the next cell over to reach over and touch about elbow to elbow. And anyway, she was a witch, and she told me about this, and she's like, "Hold your hand out and concentrate on giving power." And I was like, "No, I'm not going to do that." I was like, taking it. But anyways, after I did it, she says, "It's lucky you didn't get possessed by, some spirit or something, and you didn't have no ritual or something sort of protecting your body." And anyway, so I never did it after that. That's, I was like, wow. So yeah.
Sounds like you had to purchase a license first before you could do it.
I don't know. But anyways.
Yeah. Well, as far as spirit possession, things like that go, I'm not, maybe not this sort of thing. I believe it's probably possible. But my version of the way that I see astral projection and from my experiences of it, is that, people are worried your soul's going to leave your body and then it's open for something to possess. Like I explained, you're not actually leaving, you're actually creating an energetic double and transferring your consciousness and then moving your consciousness. So I'm not sure that, in my opinion, you're not in any real danger of possession via that route. I would think that, lower vibratory frequencies, hate, fear, really nasty emotional states, prolonged depression, these sorts of things, I would say would probably open you up more to, psychic spiritual attack from demonic possession or anything like that than astral projection itself would. It's just my opinion on it, but, yeah, there it is.
And of course, to support your opinion, one of my favorite lines, not my absolute favorite line, but is that who really knows? I mean, where do we even get the concept of demons, if there even are any? And I'm sure there are plenty of amateurs out there who have, experimented with the, out-of-body experiences and other things. And have we heard of anyone being possessed, during their out-of-body experience? Or maybe that's being hidden from us. But I'm assuming because, in case I neglected to tell anybody, I grew up in a drive-in theater, literally. My mother and stepfather ran the place. It was my babysitter. Every night I watched Hollywood. I mean, I could tell you the names of producers and what movies they produced and all this, not from way back. I mean, I was born in 1959. I think by 1964, I had seen every black and white movie there was made up to that point. I even started frowning at color because they depended more on special effects, which is what we called them back then, than they did acting. But even back then, Hollywood had us believing that there was this ominous battle between good and evil. And of course, whenever we talk politics, which we do a lot, we automatically try to portray the Republicans as evil and the Democrats are as good, or vice versa, because I think they're both equally as bad. And it becomes this Hollywood script of good guy versus bad guy.